Cloud security serves as the foundation of trust in modern digital transformation. As enterprises migrate applications, data, and entire workloads to cloud environments, ensuring protection in a shared infrastructure becomes paramount. The goal is not only to secure information, but also to adapt governance and compliance models to this dynamic delivery paradigm. Cloud environments introduce unparalleled flexibility and scalability, but they also bring new forms of risk and shared responsibility. Security programs must therefore evolve to match this pace, balancing agility with accountability. For executives, robust cloud security translates into operational resilience, regulatory defensibility, and customer confidence in the organization's ability to protect digital assets wherever they reside. Understanding cloud service models is key to identifying where security responsibilities begin and end. In Infrastructure as a Service, IaaS, the organization retains control over operating systems, applications, and configurations while the provider manages the underlying hardware. Platform as a Service, PaaS, simplifies operations by abstracting away runtime and middleware, shifting some security duties to the provider. Software as a Service, SaaS, places nearly the entire stack, application, infrastructure, and runtime under provider control, leaving customers responsible primarily for data protection and access governance. Each model reshapes the risk profile, requiring clear delineation of roles and precise management of residual vulnerabilities. The shared responsibility model defines the balance of accountability between customer and provider. Cloud vendors safeguard the physical infrastructure, including data centers, networks, and hypervisors, while customers manage data classification, access control, and configuration settings. Many security lapses occur not because of malicious intent, but due to confusion about these boundaries. Misunderstandings can leave data exposed, especially when assumptions are made about default protections. To mitigate this, governance frameworks must explicitly map responsibilities across internal teams and vendors, ensuring there are no blind spots. Executives should treat this mapping as a living document, reviewed and updated whenever cloud architectures, contracts, or services change. Data protection strategies ensure that information remains confidential, intact, and available regardless of its location. Encryption at rest and in transit, ideally with customer-managed keys, gives organizations direct control over their most sensitive data. Tokenization and anonymization techniques further safeguard personally identifiable or regulated data, reducing exposure in analytics and shared workloads. Reliable backup and recovery processes must span multiple regions to mitigate risks from outages or provider failures. Additionally, compliance with data residency laws, such as GDPR or emerging sovereignty frameworks, ensures that storage and processing align with local regulations. Effective data protection is both a technical safeguard and a governance requirement that supports resilience and compliance. Configuration and posture management have emerged as decisive factors in preventing cloud breaches. Misconfigurations, such as open storage buckets, permissive security groups, or neglected API keys, remain among the most exploited vulnerabilities. Automated tools continuously assess configurations against industry benchmarks like CIS and NIST, flagging non-compliant assets in real time. Continuous validation of network exposure, identity entitlements, and encryption status ensures that security posture remains current. Infrastructure as code governance embeds these controls directly into deployment pipelines, reducing the risk of human error. For leadership, configuration discipline provides measurable proof that security is not incidental but integrated into every stage of the cloud lifecycle. Monitoring cloud environments is essential for both operational insight and threat detection. Unlike traditional data centers, where network boundaries are visible, cloud environments distribute assets across regions and providers. Logging must therefore extend across compute, storage, and network layers, capturing events from virtual machines, containers, and API calls. Integrating these logs into centralized SIEM and SOAR platforms creates unified visibility for analysts and executives alike. Native provider tools such as AWS CloudTrail or Azure Monitor supply telemetry, while third-party analytics enhance detection accuracy through correlation and behavioral modeling. The effectiveness of monitoring can be measured through incident detection rates, response times, and the precision of alerts, metrics that define an organization's situational awareness in the cloud. Vendor and third-party management remain pivotal in maintaining a secure cloud ecosystem. Contracts must articulate security responsibilities clearly, including data protection, incident notification, and audit participation. Service-level agreements, SLAs, should outline uptime, response expectations, and procedures for secure data return should a provider relationship end. Continuous due diligence ensures that vendors uphold the security standards they advertise, supported by independent assessments or certifications. Organizations must also plan for provider lock-in and unexpected outages, developing contingency strategies to preserve business continuity. For executives, this layer of oversight turns vendor dependency into a managed partnership governed by evidence rather than assumption. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Compliance in cloud environments demands proactive alignment between technology and regulation. Frameworks such as PCI DSS, HIPAA, and GDPR continue to apply regardless of where workloads are hosted. Cloud providers may hold certifications like SOC 2, ISO 27001, or FedRAMP, but these attest only to their own controls, not those of their customers. Organizations remain accountable for how data is processed, accessed, and retained. Audit evidence must therefore be collected across shared platforms, from log archives to change management records. Executives must ensure that compliance operations are continuous rather than reactive, embedding reporting and evidence collection into daily workflows to maintain readiness for scrutiny at any moment. A secure cloud architecture blends established network design principles with new, software-defined flexibility. Workloads should be segmented across virtual private clouds, VPCs, or virtual networks, VNets, to separate production, development, and sensitive operations. Secure connectivity, achieved through VPNs or Zero Trust Network Access, ZTNA, ensures encrypted communication without overexposure. Web application firewalls, WAFs, protect public-facing applications from injection, bot, and denial of service attacks. Architectural decisions should align with enterprise security frameworks such as NIST CSF or ISO 27001, creating a consistent governance model across cloud and on-prem environments. Executives must champion architecture reviews as part of all new deployments, ensuring every project starts secure rather than adding controls later. Incident response in the cloud requires tailored planning that reflects provider-specific constraints and APIs. Traditional response methods often fail to account for the speed and elasticity of cloud systems. Teams must understand where provider control ends and customer responsibility begins, coordinating accordingly during investigations. Cloud-native tools can capture forensic data, such as snapshots or flow logs, but retention policies must ensure evidence persists long enough for full analysis. Playbooks should be updated to define escalation paths, containment methods, and communication protocols in shared responsibility contexts. Executives should view this as not just a technical adjustment, but an exercise in legal, operational, and reputational preparedness. Metrics provide executives with measurable insight into cloud security maturity. Key indicators include the percentage of cloud assets with compliant configurations, the volume of misconfiguration alerts resolved within SLA timelines, and encryption coverage across all regions and workloads. Vendor attestation status, alongside identified control gaps, offers transparency into external dependencies. These data points empower leadership to quantify exposure, prioritize remediation, and communicate readiness to regulators and investors. When incorporated into board-level reporting, metrics transform cloud security from an abstract concept into an evidence-based practice, linking posture directly to enterprise resilience and competitive trustworthiness. Cloud security presents several ongoing challenges that executives must confront with strategy and persistence. The rapid evolution of services across multiple providers often leads to complexity, making consistent governance difficult. Hybrid and multi-cloud environments multiply configuration surfaces, increasing the risk of oversight. Shadow IT departments adopting cloud services outside formal approval bypasses established security protocols entirely. Meanwhile, global regulatory diversity forces organizations to reconcile overlapping data residency and privacy laws. Perhaps most pressing is the shortage of skilled professionals proficient in cloud-native tools and frameworks. Addressing these challenges requires a blend of automation, standardized policy enforcement, and continuous education. Executives must recognize that cloud security maturity is achieved through sustained investment, not one-time initiatives. Chief Information Security Officers, CISOs, play a pivotal role in establishing disciplined cloud security practices that align with enterprise risk appetite. They must define policies that govern cloud adoption, mandating centralized identity management, least privilege access, and automated compliance validation. Configuration scanning, patch management, and encryption should be standardized across providers through shared baselines. CISOs must also ensure that cloud posture data compliance rates, incidents, and remediation metrics feeds directly into board-level reporting. By linking technical performance to governance outcomes, they provide transparency that fosters trust among executives, regulators, and customers. The hallmark of a mature CISO-led program is not the absence of incidents, but the speed and precision of its response to them. For global and multinational organizations, cloud security demands harmonization across jurisdictions and providers. Data sovereignty laws increasingly dictate where information can be stored or processed, requiring region-specific architectures that satisfy both operational and legal obligations. Dominant providers vary globally: AWS in North America, Azure in Europe, GCP and Alibaba in Asia-Pacific, making unified policy enforcement a challenge. Multinational enterprises must adopt federated visibility, allowing security teams to monitor and govern across disparate platforms from a single vantage point. Consistency in encryption, access control, and logging standards becomes the bridge that unites these environments under a common compliance umbrella. Executives should ensure that global governance frameworks are adaptable enough to handle local nuance without fragmenting the organization's security posture. The strategic role of cloud security extends beyond protection. It is an enabler of business innovation and competitiveness. Secure cloud adoption allows enterprises to scale rapidly, deploy services globally, and integrate advanced analytics and artificial intelligence safely. When governed effectively, the cloud becomes a force multiplier for resilience, offering redundancy and geographic diversification that on-prem environments cannot match. For executives, this alignment between security and agility represents a fundamental advantage. It allows risk-managed growth without constraining innovation. Cloud security is therefore not a defensive measure, but a proactive strategy that empowers digital transformation while maintaining compliance and customer confidence. Executives must also understand that cloud transformation alters the economics of security. Traditional capital expenditures on hardware and perimeter controls give way to operational spending on continuous monitoring, automation, and provider services. Governance evolves accordingly, emphasizing policy enforcement, audit readiness, and resilience metrics rather than static infrastructure ownership. This shift requires a mindset change across leadership, seeing security as a dynamic service integrated into business processes. By supporting flexible budgets and measurable outcomes, executives ensure that cloud security remains aligned with corporate strategy and capable of scaling as business demands evolve. Finally, the effectiveness of a cloud security program depends on communication and culture. Security teams must collaborate with development, operations, and compliance functions to embed controls early in project lifecycles. DevSecOps practices, integrating security checks into automated build pipelines, reduce the friction between agility and governance. Executives should promote a culture where cloud security is viewed not as a barrier but as a shared responsibility. Regular cross-functional briefings, transparency in metrics, and recognition of compliance achievements reinforce this mindset. In the cloud era, security excellence is not achieved by isolation, but by integration, linking people, processes, and technology in pursuit of shared organizational trust. Measuring progress in cloud security requires an executive focus on outcomes, not just activity. Metrics should illustrate how well risks are being identified, mitigated, and communicated across the enterprise. Examples include the reduction of misconfigurations over time, the average response duration to cloud incidents, and the consistency of encryption across workloads. Dashboards should aggregate findings from multiple platforms, converting technical data into concise insights for leadership review. When executives can visualize risk trends, they can allocate resources intelligently, prioritizing high-impact improvements over cosmetic fixes. These metrics also serve an external purpose. They demonstrate to regulators, partners, and investors that the organization treats cloud security as a measurable, accountable component of business performance. Automation and continuous assurance are critical for maintaining scale and speed in the cloud. Manual review processes cannot keep pace with the velocity of change introduced by agile development and dynamic workloads. Automated compliance tools, configuration scanners, and remediation workflows enforce security standards in real time, closing gaps before they become exposures. Continuous assurance integrates monitoring, analytics, and policy validation into a self-correcting loop, providing executives with ongoing visibility into posture health. The use of artificial intelligence and machine learning further refines detection, identifying deviations and anomalies across massive datasets. When effectively implemented, automation reduces cost, enhances consistency, and turns governance into an always-on, auditable process. Incident management in the cloud requires agility and clear escalation paths. Because cloud environments are highly interconnected, an isolated misconfiguration or compromised API can quickly propagate across services. Response teams must rely on pre-built playbooks that specify roles, tools, and decision thresholds. Cloud-native snapshots, logs, and API event histories should be retained to enable forensic reconstruction without disrupting ongoing operations. Communication channels must include both provider and customer stakeholders, ensuring timely updates and alignment during remediation. For executives, readiness means ensuring that these procedures are practiced, documented, and measured. A well-executed incident response plan minimizes downtime, legal exposure, and reputational harm. Governance frameworks form the structural backbone of sustainable cloud security. Executives should champion the establishment of policies that define acceptable configurations, identity practices, and data protection standards. Regular governance councils can review exception requests, approve new service adoptions, and evaluate audit results. Integrating risk assessment findings into corporate strategy meetings ensures that cloud decisions align with broader business objectives. Governance is not static. It must evolve alongside emerging technologies, regulations, and competitive pressures. By treating governance as an iterative process, organizations maintain alignment between innovation and control, ensuring that growth in the cloud never outpaces their ability to manage risk responsibly. Cloud security's global dimension calls for diplomacy as much as technology. Enterprises operating across borders must respect regional data sovereignty laws and localization requirements while maintaining global visibility and policy enforcement. Executives should ensure that data transfer agreements, encryption standards, and incident reporting comply with local regulations without creating operational silos. Establishing regional centers of excellence allows for time zone-aligned monitoring and culturally aware response coordination. In an interconnected economy, cloud governance must balance global uniformity with local sensitivity, an equilibrium that only executive leadership can sustain. This strategic harmonization distinguishes compliant, resilient enterprises from those perpetually catching up to regulation. In conclusion, cloud security has become inseparable from enterprise strategy. It embodies shared responsibility, strong identity management, and continuous vigilance over data and configurations. Encryption, automation, and compliance reporting together create the foundation of trust that digital transformation requires. For CISOs and executives alike, the objective is not merely technical compliance, but organizational assurance, demonstrating that security scales with ambition. By embedding cloud security into governance structures, budget priorities, and cultural expectations, leaders transform it from a constraint into a catalyst. Ultimately, cloud security succeeds when it enables innovation confidently, proving that resilience and agility can coexist within the same architectural vision.